7 college friends drove into Cherokee National Forest on a Friday morning. National Forest. They filmed everything: the drive, the gas station, the trailhead, each other laughing. By Sunday, they were supposed to be home. They never came back. No bodies, no trail, no explanation. 3 months later, a maintenance worker found their camcorder wedged between 2 rocks near a drainage ditch. The casing was cracked. The lens was shattered, but the tape was still inside. And what it captured in its final minutes, no one was ready for. Knoxville, Tennessee, late August 1998. 7 friends, end of summer. One last trip before the semester pulled them in different directions. Tyler, steady, methodical. The kind of person who double-checked the maps before anyone else thought to ask. He brought his father's Sony Hi8 camcorder, a chunky silver thing that felt important to carry. Like it mattered that this trip got remembered. Drew Callahan, 22, was Tyler's opposite. Impulsive, confident, always behind the wheel. His girlfriend, Katie Monroe, rode shotgun, leaning out the window, filming the caravan of cars behind them. Emily Ward was a journalism major, quiet, curious, the kind of person who noticed things other people walked right past. Her roommate, Brianna, filled every silence with commentary that made the whole tape feel alive. Jordan McCoy was the group's outdoors expert, tall, patient, the one who'd actually done the research. His girlfriend, Leah Parsons, had never camped before in her life. She only came because Jordan loved it, and she loved him. 7 people, 3 cars, enough food for 3 days, and a camera that would end up recording far more than anyone intended. The footage from that morning shows them completely at ease. Drew pretending to interview the others at a gas station near Tellico Plains. Everyone laughing. It's the kind of footage that could belong to any group of friends, anywhere. It is the calm before something nobody saw coming. Their destination was a decommissioned fire lookout tower on a ridge called Black Hollow, a place not marked on any official trail map. Jordan had found it on an online hiking forum. He said it would make great footage. The tape shows them arriving at a gravel pull-off late that afternoon. Behind the cars, the forest stretched out, endless. Green shadows, whispering wind, the faint smell of rain coming in. You can hear Katie ask, almost half joking, if this is really the right spot. Jordan laughs it off. "Trail's right up there," he says, pointing toward what looks less like a trail and more like an animal path. They unload the gear, sleeping bags, a cooler, 2 tents. The others joke that Jordan is going to get them lost. Nobody means it seriously, not yet. By sunset, the group is 3 miles deep, pushing through thick underbrush on a trail that barely qualifies as one. The footage turns shaky as the light fades. Leah can be heard saying she feels like they've been walking in circles. Tyler checks his compass, frowns, says something about the reading being off. Maybe interference from the rock formations nearby. They keep going anyway. The next clip is from that night, a small campfire. 7 faces lit orange by the flames. Brianna narrates into the lens. Night 1, Black Hollow. Us. It feels warm, nostalgic, almost completely ordinary. Until you notice it, just for a second, Tyler, glancing over his shoulder toward the tree line. They were supposed to return Sunday evening. When Monday came and no one showed up, it didn't feel urgent yet. End of summer. Maybe one more night. Maybe car trouble. By Tuesday, parents were calling each other. Drew's mother couldn't reach his cell. Emily's roommate said her bed hadn't been slept in. By Wednesday, police were notified. Searchers reached the trailhead that same day. All 3 vehicles were still parked exactly where they'd been left, clean, undamaged. locked. Inside Drew's Jeep, maps, a disposable camera, Katie's purse. Inside Tyler's Honda, extra clothes, snacks, a spare fuel canister, all neatly stacked. No broken glass, no sign of panic, no indication anyone had left in a hurry. It was as if the group had simply walked into the forest and never looked back. Within 24 hours, a full search operation was underway. Helicopters flying low over the treetops, tracking dogs brought in from 3 counties, rangers dividing the terrain into search grids. Cherokee National Forest covers 500,000 acres, dense canopy, uneven ridgelines, narrow valleys where sound simply disappears. Teams found faint traces early on. A piece of fabric snagged on a branch, what looked like boot prints near a creek bed. Then the rain came hard for 2 straight days and washed away most of what remained. Within 48 hours, even the scent dogs lost the trail completely. Families slept in their cars at the ranger station. Volunteers combed the undergrowth with flashlights long after dark. At one point, a tracker thought he heard a woman's voice echoing across a ridge. They called out. Nothing answered back. The official report would later describe it simply as an immediate and total disappearance. The only item recovered in those first weeks was a single mud-caked hiking boot found near a creek 4 miles from the parked cars. Investigators compared it to stills from the tape. It belonged to Leah Parsons. It offered no explanation, only dread. Almost 3 months after they vanished, a park maintenance worker found their camcorder wedged between 2 rocks near a drainage culvert. Battery dead, casing cracked, lens shattered, but inside, the tape was still there. When investigators pressed play, the laughter of 7 young friends filled the room. The gas station, the drive, the campfire, and then the final 15 minutes. The footage turns dark and unstable. The camera swings wildly. Footsteps, rapid breathing, someone moving fast or trying to. A flashlight beam sweeps across the base of a structure. A metal door, half open, rust along the hinges. The tower. Then a voice, barely above a whisper. Someone's out there. Then static. The tape ends. Investigators reviewed that footage for months. Frame by frame, multiple passes. 40 seconds. Shows the group clustered near the base of the tower. Heavy grain, inconsistent light. Camera motion blurring nearly every frame. But in one single frame, there was something else. A shape in the background, partially obscured by the tree line, standing completely still while everything else in the frame moved. With the technology available in 1998, investigators couldn't determine if it was a person, a shadow, or simple camera distortion. The case went cold. Years became decades. Tyler's father printed missing posters for years. Emily's brother drove out to the forest nearly every weekend for months, walking until exhaustion turned him back. By the 2000s, the case had faded from national coverage, but in the town's bordering Cherokee forest, it had never left. One ranger, when asked directly about the area near Black Hollow, said only, "There are parts of that forest we don't go back into." He didn't elaborate. In 2022, a documentary production team reached out to the families. Most hesitated. Some had spent years trying to forget. Others still hoped new eyes might find what everyone else had missed. The film, The Lost Weekend, What the Forest Hid, premiered later that year. It featured restored portions of the original tape for the first time, newly stabilized, contrast-enhanced, frame-by-frame processing that simply wasn't possible back in 1998. And in that restored footage, that same background shape, now clearer. Forensic analysts spent weeks on that single frame, using stabilization and contrast enhancement to separate the figure from the noise around it. What they described was a human silhouette standing several feet behind the group, facing them directly. Motionless, dark jacket, light trousers, what appeared to be a wide-brimmed hat. They were careful with their language. They never claimed certainty. The image quality, even enhanced, left real room for doubt. But they said, with measured confidence, that the figure did not match any of the 7 campers. The positioning, the stillness, the clothing, none of it corresponded to what the group was wearing or where they were standing in that frame. They could not explain who or what it was. The documentary team dug into the history of that specific tower and found a name buried in a 1974 county archive. Robert Clay, a volunteer fire lookout assigned to the Black Hollow Watchtower. He disappeared in the fall of 1974, listed as a missing person after failing to check in during a routine patrol. His cabin was found in order. His logbook left open on the desk. No struggle, no note. The official explanation at the time was a fall or disorientation in bad weather. No body was ever found. In his recovered field notes, a final entry, dated 2 days before he vanished, read, "Heard the voices again tonight." Sounded like they were coming from below. The line was circled twice in red pencil. Beneath it, in different handwriting, possibly a supervisor's, a single note. Tower closed until further notice. The documentary team was careful and direct about what they could and couldn't claim. No investigator would draw a formal line connecting Clay's disappearance to what happened in 1998. But the facts, laid out plainly, were hard to ignore. Same ridge, same tower. 2 disappearances, 24 years apart. Neither one ever explained. Gerald McAdams, an elderly ranger who'd worked the region back in the 1970s, agreed to speak on camera. He said the tower had been considered off-limits long before it was ever officially closed. "We used to hear things," he said, "voices from the hollow at night. Sometimes it sounded like people calling for help. Sometimes almost like laughter." He paused for a long moment. "We told ourselves it was wind through the ridge." He never finished the sentence. The documentary's final act returned to the tape one last time, one last frame, enhanced as far as the degraded footage would allow. The figure was still there, still standing, still facing the group, and this time just visible enough to raise a question no one had properly asked before. Not who was standing there, but how long they had been standing there. Tyler's father, Richard, now grey and soft-spoken, said he still visits the forest every August. "I used to think if I just kept looking, I'd find them," he said. "Now I think maybe the forest doesn't want to be found. Maybe it just wants to be left alone." Emily's sister held a photo of her, taken the week before the trip. "At least now we know they weren't imagining it," she said. "There really was someone there." She looked at the photo for a long moment before saying anything else. Whether they were alive in that moment or not, no one can say. The tower at Black Hollow no longer exists. It collapsed sometime in the early 2000s. Only the steel base remains now, half buried in vines and root systems. No sign, no fence, no marker, nothing to indicate what happened there. The 7 campers were never found. No remains, no additional physical evidence, no answer that anyone could take home and actually live with. What exists is the tape. 40 seconds of degraded footage, a shape in a single frame, a whisper. The documentary ends on drone footage of the forest as it looks today, mist drifting between the trees, morning light on moss-covered stone. The camera holds on the empty ground where the tower once stood. Then, in the final seconds, the audio fades almost entirely, and beneath the silence, barely audible, breathing, the same sound captured in the last seconds of the campus tape, 24 years earlier. Then nothing. Everything in this story comes from recovered footage, archived case files, and records that sat in county storage for over 2 decades before anyone thought to look again. The figure in that frame has never been identified. The voices described by Gerald McAdams have never been explained. And 7 people who walked into Cherokee Forest in August 1998 have never come home. Tyler, Drew, Katie, Emily, Brianna, Jordan, Leah. They filmed everything right up until they couldn't. If this case stayed with you, let us know in the comments. And if stories like this are why you keep coming back, make sure you're subscribed, because some stories were never meant to be found. And the ones that surface anyway tend to leave more questions than answers.